The club's got a long history of some very good players. There were a number of guys. John Reddick, in the early part of the 19th, I guess 20th century, was a fine player and a multi-time state champion. I believe he was a member here. And then Bob Frazier was a lawyer in town at Frazier Stryker, and he'd won a number of club championships and a few state tournaments, two or three, the state amateur. And Sam Reynolds is probably the most well-known because he was a U.S. Senator and quite an accomplished amateur player, both at the club and on the state and national level. And I guess Tom Olson would be another one who's a member who won the state tournament and a couple state match plays and a number of club tournaments.
I have two favorite memories of matches that I played out here at Omaha Country Club in the club championship. The first one was for my first club championship in 1971. I beat the defending club champion in a 36-hole match, and that was my father. So I think to this day there's never been a father-son in the finals. My other great memory of winning a match out here in the club championship was in 1964. I played against Mr. Sam Reynolds, whose name is on this trophy 7 times. And the thing that was really amazing about that match is Sam and I had the exact same handicap. We played to the 18th hole. It was a one-up victory, although I shot 73 and he shot 72, but in match play I happened to win that day. But if you look at our careers, and this is an amazing fact, if you take the date that I won the state amateur championship and the date that he won the state amateur championship for the first time, there's 85 years between those two dates. Yet in 1964, we played a match against each other and we played exactly even. So it'll really show you that this game of golf just will last for a lifetime. So those are probably my two favorite memories of the 50 years I spent out here. If you go back and look at the records in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, when the NGA was first, and at that time the Nebraska Amateur Golf Association was first started, they had a championship flight and a first flight in the state amateur championship, so that if you didn't make the cut, you went into a first flight. And in 1967, at the age of 77, Sam Reynolds won the first flight. And I remember standing out here, and there must have been 500 people around the 18th green, and he got a standing ovation like you couldn't believe. 77-year-old, and as I recall, I shot 71 the last day. So, pretty amazing man. And when you look back at his career, and I don't have it memorized, but he won just about everything you can name. He won the Trans-Miss and a lot of big tournaments, and more importantly, he was just a real gentleman. I played a lot of golf with him because my father was a good friend of his, and they would get me to come along and tag along. And even when I was 18, 19 years old, I knew I was in the presence of somebody really, really important and a real gentleman. And I kept my mouth shut, and I listened a lot, and I learned a lot. He taught me, and another man who won a lot of tournaments here, Ben Cowdery, who's a 10-time club champion out here. They knew everything there was to know about the game. They played with Johnny Goodman, and you know, when you're up at that level, you're really soaring with the eagles, so to speak. And so I just listened and learned.
The most interesting one actually is Ben Cowdery, where a lot of the older members that I played with when I was younger, the great players would tell stories about Ben Cowdery and his ball striking. They were almost like Paul Bunyan-esque, Mo Norman-like stories where people would say that he could go a month without missing a green and just a spectacular ball striker. And he'd won a number of club championships, but he didn't compete much on the state level. He was involved in the newspaper, and apparently his father-in-law looked down upon misspent time playing golf and doing that. So Ben did not compete on the state level, but apparently he was, for a long period of time, one of the best players in the region.
I'm going to say a couple things. First of all, since 1971, which including this year would be 46 years, well, 45 years prior to this one, because it isn't over yet, 45 years of championships. I had the good fortune to win it 15 times now, Tom 13 times, and Patrick Duffy 10. So 38 out of 44 times, 3 people have won the club championship. I won my first club championship in 1975. I won my last club championship in 2015 for the 15th time. It was 69, and I hadn't won it since 1999. So what was it like? It was one of those dreams come true that when you're a competitor, you always want to keep playing, and you want to show that you can keep playing, and I was able to do that last year. And I'm proud that I was able to, proud and humbled actually, that I was able to accomplish that. And we've got a lot of great golfers out here. I mentioned Tom Olson, won I think 3 state amateur tournaments at least. Patrick Duffy, who's one of the best golfers in the state and qualified for various USGA events. Tom Kelly's done the same thing. Steve Redlin, Mike Root, and others. So I mean, it's nice to be included in the discussion with that level of competition.